Cleaned up the room, wrapped up, got to leave, got most of everything together. You know what? I even put earrings on for this one, honey. Let's get down to business, shall we? All right. So, I'm going to read this to you real quick. I'm going to do a little, so according to Forbes, Pappy Van Winkle's Billionaire. Pappy is a billionaire with a net worth of $6 million gold rings. Sainsbury Company produces some of the world's most collectible spirits, including Pappy Van Winkle. Van Winkle is a minority production partner. October 8th, 2023, Forbes magazine. Okay. So if you decide to you want to go ahead and subscribe to Forbes, it is $49.99 billed annually, $99 billed every 2 years, and $6.99 billed monthly. Okay. All right. If you want to cash at me a donation for getting you this article, or join whatever platform I got, or purchase a product or whatever to help, I will greatly, or just donate $5 for a cup of coffee. Coffee's $5. Okay, whichever one. My Patreon page is still being reviewed for approval. This whole approval thing. If that doesn't work on Patreon, I'm sure we'll work on getting another site together to put these juicy videos on. But for right now, if you want them immediately, I'll set it up on my Etsy page where you get the link immediately if I'm not available. For you to get the knowledge and the information, okay? To be a participant and investing in your future. All right. We honestly ought to be reading Forbes magazine a lot more anyway, to be quite honest, with a few other things. Get over to my Meet Pappy Van Winkle's Billionaire. Pappy. William Goldring Cesaric Company produces some of the world's most collectible spirits, but it's the bottom shelf that have made him rich. Fireball, anyone? This article is by Christopher Hellman at Forbes staff. At the top of the hill behind the Buffalo Trace Distillery in Frankfort, Kentucky. Kentucky's not that far from me, y'all. Kentucky's a 2-hour ride. I wonder if they do tours. Overlooking what used to be a farmstead sit 18 7-story buildings clad in red metal siding. These rick houses are each filled with some 58,000 wooden barrels, which would yield roughly 18 million bottles of whiskey. And not just any whiskey, but some of the most coveted and expensive bourbon in the world, including Pappy Van Winkle, which theoretically cost around $300 a bottle. W.L. Weller, $50, and George T. Stagg, $100, but good luck finding them at those prices in your local liquor store. Their costs can go up as much as 20-fold on the secondary market. All told, the Sazerac Company boasts 3 million barrels of inventory, which will retail for more than $9 billion once it all comes of age. My father said, never go into the bourbon business, because one day you're going to wake up and have a lake full of bourbon, laughs the 80-year-old chairman of Sazerac. William Goldring, who debuts on this year's Forbes 400 with a net worth of $6 billion. Now we have many lakes. Goldring isn't terribly concerned about selling those lakes. Sazerac markets more than 30 whiskeys, balancing sales of superior premium brands with vastly great volumes of cheaper stuff like Fireball. From almost nothing 15 years ago, Fireball, which is made with younger, cheaper Canadian whiskey and tastes like cinnamon red hot candies, has exploded in popularity to sell 7.8 million 9-liter cases last year. According to the Impact Data Bank, closing in on Jim Beam's 11.5 million. All told, Sazerac has rolled up 500 spirits brands in a dozen distilleries in the US, Canada, France, Ireland, and India. Its share of the US spirits markets at 14% of volume is second only to Diageo's. Revenue at the privately held company last year was an estimated $3 billion. It's hard to ignore Sazerac, says Trevor Sterling. You know what? Okay. A spirits analyst at Bernstein. They have been impressive share gainers fueled by Fireball, which is a category killer and still growing. That's the spirit. Pappy Van Winkle is among the world's most valuable whiskey, selling for more than 20 times its retail price on the secondary market, while Fireball accounts for 45% of the flavored whiskey market, Buffalo Trace. Much of the success Goldring has had with Sazerac comes from knowing when to follow his father's wisdom and when to ignore it. After Prohibition, Stephen Goldring, who died in 1996, started Magnolia Marketing, a liquor wholesaler. To fill holes in his lineup, he acquired the Sazerac Company, which made esoteric spirits like Pai Chai's bitters and later Taka Vodka. Young Bill took over both companies in the late 1960s, but focused on growing the wholesaler renamed Republic National, distributing across 38 states. By the time he sold his stake to joint venture partners in 2010, revenue was an estimated 4.5 billion. If you're a distributor, you don't really own anything, Goldring says. I'd rather make the stuff. Which is why via Cesaric Goldring has been gradually buying others' spirits brands. The George T. Stagg Distillery in Frankfurt came first in 1991. Goldring knew he could sell its 32,000 barrels of aged whiskey, but the distillery, renamed Buffalo Trace, was a mess, like New Orleans after Katrina. He says production had peaked in 1973 at 200,000 barrels and fell to 12,000 as bourbon demand evaporated. Goldring couldn't resist the history. The oldest continually operating distillery since 1773. Stagg made medicinal whiskey during Prohibition. You can't plant cut flowers, he said. You need roots and authenticity. He acquired after venerable bourbons to get access to their fully aged inventory like W.A. Weller in 1999. Then in 2002, Cesaric cut a deal with the family of legendary distiller Julian Pappy von Winkle Jr. to bring his wheated bourbon recipe back to life at Buffalo Trace. The cult of Pappy collectors have been growing ever since. A bottle of 23-year-old Pappy Van Winkle sells on the secondary market for more than $5,000. We got to change our whole life, y'all. Our entire life. Yeah, one bottle. A bottle. Just a single bottle. We don't even have to have everything mentioned in this article. We can have a couple of bottles do really well at low prices, or we can have some high price bottles with high class ingredients and market them. It don't even have to be a full line. And then if we want to do the drink concoctions, we can just have a place do them, which is what I talked about on my live yesterday. So, yeah, we don't have to have the whole 6 million. We just want a piece of the 6 million. We already spending collectively quite a bit on these lovely products. Yes, we can be spending it as an investment in ourselves for things like this. Yeah, or at least time investment. All right. Unlike say vodka, a bottle of 23-year-old Pappy Van Winkle sells on the secondary market for more than $5,000. Can any of y'all use $5,000 right now? 23 years. 23-year-old. Okay, honey. 23. Unlike, say, vodka, which can be distilled in the morning, bottled in the afternoon, and shipped the next day, producing quality whiskey can take decades. We should have been started. We're making Pappy Van Winkle today for 2046. It's not just for this, for right now, it's for generations, legacy. Says Cesaric Chairman Mark Brown, 66, who has been running the company since 1990s. Liquid Gold. The Buffalo Trace Distillery in Frankfort, Kentucky produces Pappy Van Winkle, Weller, George T. Stagg, and other highly collectible whiskeys. Here in Blast for Forbes. That's who the quote was by. Cesaric's transformation began in 2009 when it acquired 40 down market brands for $330 million from Constellation Brands. Suddenly, Cesaric was competing with Goldring's own wholesale suppliers. The perceived conflict led the Goldrings to sell their family stake in Republic National Distributing in 2010 for what Forbes estimate was $400 million. Goldring flowed cash to a string of deals in 2016 for $540 million. Cesaric bought brands from rival Brown Forman, including Southern Comfort. I love Southern Comfort. Southern Comfort. Okay. In 2018, from another $550 million, the IGO sold Cesaric Seagram's VO Myers Rum and the gimmicky Gold Shagler, which contains flakes of real gold. You can be real creative there. Instinctable, Cesaric in 2021 picked up Paul Masson brandy from Constellation for $265 million. I cleaned up a half pint of Paul Masson in the parking lot last week. Somebody at the liquor store had threw it over into our parking lot, and the glass was everywhere and had to be swept up. Actually, I didn't clean it. My boss cleaned it up the next day. Was it Parmesan? I think it was Parmesan. Anyway, you can get a bottle of Parmesan at the liquor store, two half pints for $5, depending upon which one you go to, or you can get it for $2 for $6. That does not include tax. $265 million. If you are a Parmesan drinker, how much money do you think you have spent with Parmesan? Straight, no chaser. I'm just the messenger. I'm just asking questions. And last year added the Low Grill Distillery in Ireland for a reported $70 million. Cesaric currently carries $2 billion in debt, according to FactSet, and generates about $600 million a year in operating profit per Forbes estimates. All told, Goldring splits an estimated fortune of $6 billion with his wife and 3 children, and family trust control 100% of the company. I don't own the copyrights or whatever they call it for the magazine, okay? I just thought I would throw that in there. For all the fancy bourbons, no brand exemplifies Goldring's top to bottom shelf philosophy better than Fireball, which Cesaric bought from Seagram's in 2000. How many Seagram bottles did you buy? If you are a Seagram's drinker. Relaunched in, what was the amount you spent rather? Relaunched in 2007 with a red demon on the label and sells for less than 20 cents a bottle. Never mind that aficionados turn up their noses at Fireball. The Cinnamon Spirit boasts a 45% market share among flavored whiskeys and scored $1.8 billion in retail sales last year. It's a bit of a unicorn, says analyst Vivian Attire at Cohen & Company. They have so much scale and leverage already, it helps them organically grow Fireball. When I was working for the Indianapolis 500, because I would do special events at the Indianapolis 500 in my bartending days, I'd get there 5, 6 in the morning. They'd give me my assignment that I would have with like a bar person for the day. And they'd give us a list of spirits to keep on hand and to refill as needed. Most of the time I ended up working the ground, but a few times I did get a chance to be in the towers and serve those who paid lovely prices to watch from the booth, which was a different kind of, it was definitely different than working the ground. The ground would be more, so the alcohol was still expensive and more overpriced than it would be at the liquor store since it's a special event. but the ground would be considered for people like us. Um, yeah, the ones who didn't have the money really for the private booth to overlook the entire race. Okay? So, kind of like how civilization is set up right now, the VIP and the non VIP. And then the booth, you'd be in there, it'd be a smaller crowd you were serving, and they'd have the crystal lined up with the glasses in there and everything for you to pour. Well, it was less people, but I made my money uh, more so in and they also had things like raves. So I made most of my money on the ground and in the raves. Okay. Um, and Fireball was it was a ground, even though it was priced higher than it was at the liquor store. Most of the people on the ground favored things like Jameson, Fireball, um, things of that nature. So Fireball was hot, honey. They was coming back to back for that Fireball. It was, yeah, they was not playing. Okay, let's see. A value investor, Gold Ring has parted with only one brand in 2009, trading Efon Vodka to the makers of Jim Beam in exchange for Old Taylor, which was rebranded as Premium Whiskey E.H. Taylor 4th year later and named for one of the founding fathers of the bourbon industry. These cult bourbons are not the biggest money makers for Sazerac. However, simply because they are produced in such small batches to support a limited market of spirits that cost hundreds of dollars, sales are tightly allocated by state. But they do exert a big halo effect. Thus, Gold Ring's willingness to invest 1.2 billion dollars the past 5 years to double Buffalo Tranc's output to 550,000 barrels a year. Vertically integrated Sazerac even makes its own white oak barrels and plants new seedlings. The good news for bourbon lovers: in a few years there will be considerably more 12-year-old Whaler Stag and Eagle Rare to go around. Increasingly, however, the most expensive bourbon will be destined for new markets, notably India, which drinks half the world's whiskey, have been introduced to it by the British. I need to be in India. Wait a minute. Oh, okay, maybe that's different. Okay. In 2017, Sazerac acquired a controlling stake in the maker of the Bengaluru, 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 based Paul John Single Malt and Original Choice Whiskies reportedly for more than 50 million, and plans to grow million. That is a million, y'all. And plans to grow volume tenfold. It already produces Fireball in India. While he oversees one of the world's biggest spirits companies, Gold Ring prefers to remain under the radar in New Orleans. You might find him at Sazerac House, a museum and bar dedicated to the eponymous spirit and cocktail popularized more than 150 years ago. And what if, as his father warned, taste change? Gold Ring shrugs and smiles. If people stop drinking bourbon, he says, we're up a creek. That's the end of that article. Yes. All right. Um, Very nice. All right, I'm about to leave the library. It's been a lovely full day. Thank you for tuning in, loves. Um, Love tubers. Um, yeah, this will be, I would have this as a freebie on the page. The other one that I did in regards to the cocktails that I like to make or would like to make, things of that nature, and then talking about the grants, um, that would be something to pay for once I get the Patreon platform going or whatever other platform. Um, but this I would have on the page for free. Okay. I think it's valuable information to know if you are uh, signed up with Forbes magazines to get their monthly or yearly or bi-annually. Uh, Let me know. You may not have to go on that bill alone. Um, I had actually thought about sharing my Canva bill with someone or anyone or bringing someone on as a team. Um, the only issue with that is I collect a lot of, I have the storage, and I have a lot of naughty pigs. They might not want to be subjected, maybe not, to all the naughty pigs. So I'd have to find someone really open-minded. My Canva bill was, it was like $130, and I pay it once a year. But I do enough graphics and books and whatnot, and I don't really care for limitations when I'm working as far as my designs and resizing and things of that nature, because it does automatic pixels, inches, centimeters, things of that nature. Yeah, I need all that. Yes, I don't need nothing holding back whatever possible money I can draw in the future. So, um, I might need to find a team. That's what I might need to do on some of these projects. And we work together as creative artists to get things, um, help get things completed and in motion, delegating tasks and stuff. All right, baby. Oh, I haven't had a chance to look through the book from earlier, but this ought to be an exciting read. Okay? Yes. All right. Have a lovely, lovely rest of your week. Yeah. Ladies, we a man at home.